Hello, everybody, and welcome to an episode of Analytics Mindset. In this episode, we will be going through the where clause and some of its uses. First of all, this video is a direct continuation of both my select and from clauses video. If you haven't seen them, first, please go back and look at them. I will not be going into the data because I already did that into my previous video, besides a little bit of overview here and there. And again, we are going to be using exactly the same data besides some additions for this specific video. With that being said, starting from the beginning, we are going to be using the houses table. As you can see here, I will not go into the syntax, but this is just creating our data that we need. This is creating the houses table, and this is inserting the values of populating the table. Then after that, again, you have here a description of the columns. If you need to pause the video, pause it now and read it. However, I will go into the table's owners. I'm going to create this table as well. And like the other one, I will populate it. Now they have the two tables with their data there. I will start with both tables, and I am taking this query straight from the from tutorial. This query joins these two tables, just as a refresher, in the owner ID column. And it's going to give me the first name and last name of that owner, and then the street, state, price, and year since construction of that house. Now, what we're going to do first is execute this query and see what we have. As you can see here, we get 12 records, but the last one is null. There is no name here, and there is also no last name. There is information about the street, and there is information about the state, the price, and how many years has been since construction, but there is just not first name and last name. With this query here, probably the first thing that comes to your mind is, why do we need a where clause? I thought we can just get this and then filter in Excel. You can. The main advantage of a where clause is that it allows you to filter values before you extract it outside of this database, or what in a lot of other fields is called as in-database processing. You are filtering this inside the database, so when you are getting it out, you are having less data to work with, and it's going to be a smaller lift. For example, Excel only supports around 4 million rows. If you have more than that, you won't be able to filter it in Excel. Similar to how the select clause allows us to select specific columns and make the data smaller if we don't need some of them, the where clause allows us to restrict to a certain number of records and criteria that we need to. To start with this, for a very simple extraction example, we may just want to get rid of this last record, the null first name and null last name. We can do that with the where clause. So we take exactly the same query I had before, but I'm going to have the where clause here that it reads as where from the home table owner ID is not null. I'm saying give me everything back when the owner ID is anything but not null. And if I execute this, you can see here that I only get 11 records. That is the beauty of the where clause. It allows you to see your results in database through SQL without requiring you to filter it after. Now, you can have a lot of stuff with the where clause. I will not go into very advanced stuff here, but I'm going to give you some examples. As a very powerful filter, you can use it to find, for example, hey, give me the houses in California. How we go about this, if I didn't know anything about this data set, is first, okay, give me everything back. I want everything in these two columns that I can get. And then from that, I will say the state column needs to be equal to CA, because that is the California state code. How you do it is you type here where the state is equal to California. Once I have done this, you can see I only have 2 records for Jeremy, and they're in these 2 different street addresses with these different values. If I go back here to the query without any constraints, and I just do it manually, you can see that here there's one for California for Jeremy, and then the other one in California is this one. There is no other record in California besides those two. And that verifies and checks out that I am getting what I want to. I am getting anything where the state is equal to California and only when it's equal to California. That's the most basic example. Again, in SQL, you could do it, but another strength in Excel, you could also do it if you wanted to. But another strength of SQL is that once you have specified this, you don't need to do it again. You can just copy and paste it. And if you had a different data set with the same schema or in the same table, you will get still whatever is in California. While in Excel, you will basically need to go to the ribbon, filter, and sort, and then filter by that specific value every single time. Having this condition allows you to reuse it. And this is one of the beauties of code. You can reuse it over and over again because it's a set of instructions that you're telling to the computer to process. Our next example is negating the clause. We are going to say, do not give me the houses in California. Give me everything that is not in California. And there is a ton of circumstances why we want this, but in a very high level, this is when we want to filter stuff that we don't care about. You may have an indicator at a timestamp. You can get the maximum timestamp and get rid of the other ones through some more complicated stuff, aggregations and window functions, etc. You could get rid of records that are not correct, incorrect records, like again, the null ones that we just saw, maybe in an ID column that has numbers from 1 to 100, we have somebody typed that in the ID saying, I'm not sure. We don't want that record. We can do that to the workloads. We can exclude specific stuff if we know what we're looking for to exclude. I'm going to do this. And here you can see that I get 10 records, including the null one, because I'm looking at anything where the state code it is not California. From there, you can use multiple conditions in the work clause. The first one that I want you to see is the in clause. The in clause allows you to have multiple different values for the same column. This is important. It's going to come up later. You want to use in the same column multiple values. In this case, I'm saying give me this where the state code is equal to either Georgia or Texas. Any of those ones is going to be a valid solution for this. And as here, as you can see, I have 2 homes in Texas and 1 in Georgia. Now, if you want to expand this to multiple columns, you will do it with OR. You could rewrite this as where state is equal to Georgia or state is equal to Texas, if you wanted to. This is just a shortcut, basically, to use this way. If you want to try it yourself, rewrite this statement as an OR clause. That will be a very good exercise to make sure that you're understanding what happens when you're combining multiple clauses in the work clause. But for multiple columns, you cannot use it. It needs to be with the OR statement. As you can see here, I am saying the same thing, first, last, street, state, price, years from these 2 tables, join it here, but the state needs to be either in Georgia or Texas, or the years in construction is more than 10. So we're looking at all houses to some degree. And as you can see here, I get back every house that we saw in Georgia and Texas. Here you can see 1, 2, and 3. But I'm also getting any single house that has more than 10 years since construction. Like, for example, this one in California has 18 years since construction, but it's in California. It shouldn't be retrieved by this clause. Similar to this one in Georgia. This house was built 5 years ago. It does not meet this condition here. However, it's being brought back because it's looking at anything in these 2 different ones. We can also just do the intersection instead. We can say, give me all the houses where they are in Georgia or Texas, and they are older than 10 years. So you could think of this as unioning these two results. That's what SQL does in the background. But here you are finding the intersection of those two results. And that's the main difference between or and and. There is only one house that meets those conditions. It's either in Texas or Georgia, and it has been more than 10 years since it was built. And now that is how I'm going to finish in this video. Again, the where clause is a very, very powerful way to execute a lot of statements that will allow you to refine your data and extract from a given database only the values that you need. That reduces a lot of complexity down the road. You can do your data exploration way easier. You can do a lot of your manipulations, graphs, etc. cleaner if you already know beforehand what you're doing. That is by far the most useful way to use the where clause. However, that requires you to know what you're looking for. And a lot of times it is just simpler to do a select star and just bring all your records. Again, depending on the size of your data set, you may want to restrict that. But the where clause is specifically useful when you are taking stuff out of SQL because it allows you to process that filtering in SQL and reduce the demand for tasks later on when you need to still filter those records outside of SQL. And what we're going to do, again, all of this code, as always, is going to be on the description if you want to run it yourself, is drop the table houses and drop the table owners. So I leave this as a clean state. And with that, I will finish this video here. And if you like my video, please give a like, subscribe, comment. I appreciate any kind of feedback, any kind of support that you can provide. Thank you and have a good day.